Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair and watched the alien across the table. The creature looked like a giant lizard wearing fancy clothes. Its yellow eyes stared at him with the same look a cat gives a mouse before it pounces. The meeting room was huge. The walls were made of some kind of blue crystal that hurt to look at. Strange lights floated in the air above them, making everything look like it was underwater. Jake had been in this room for 3 months now, talking and getting nowhere. "Commander Morrison," the alien said. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Your people must understand their place in the galaxy. You are new here. You are weak. You need our protection." Jake did not move. He kept his face blank. Next to him, Dr. Lisa Martinez wrote notes on her tablet. She was a smart woman who had studied aliens for years before becoming a diplomat. On his other side sat Admiral Pete Collins, an old soldier, who had fought in more wars than Jake could count. The alien's name was High Chancellor Crystal. He spoke for the Vorthok Empire, one of the 3 big alien groups that controlled most of the galaxy. Behind him sat 2 other aliens. One looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. The other was covered in black armor and never spoke. "We have been patient with your kind," Crystal continued. "For 3 months, we have listened to your requests. But patience has limits." Jake had heard this speech before. Aliens always talked about how young humans were, how little they knew how much they needed guidance. It made his teeth hurt to sit there and listen to it. "What exactly are you asking for?" Jake said. Crystal's mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. "We are not asking, Commander. We are telling. Your military ships must be given to us. Your colonies must accept our governors. Your people must learn their place." Dr. Martinez looked up from her tablet. "And if we refuse," the floating jellyfish alien spoke for the first time. Its voice was like wind through trees. "Then we will teach you. There are over 10,000 ships waiting around your worlds. They carry weapons your people have never seen." Admiral Collins finally spoke. His voice was quiet and rough. 10 ships, you say?" "Yes," Crystal said. He sounded proud. "The combined fleets of 3 empires. More firepower than your primitive minds can imagine." Jake saw Collins nod slowly. The old admiral's face did not change, but Jake knew him well enough to see the wheels turning in his head. Collins had been expecting this. "How long do we have to decide?" Jake asked. 24 hours, Crystal said. "After that, we will begin corrective actions. Your colonies will be brought under proper control, whether you agree or not." Jake stood up slowly. His chair scraped against the floor, making a sound that echoed in the big room. Dr. Martinez and Admiral Collins stood up too. "We need to talk this over," Jake said. "Among ourselves." Crystal waved a clawed hand. "Of course. Discuss it all. You want the answer will be the same. You will submit, or you will be made to submit." The 3 humans walked out of the room. Jake could feel the aliens watching them go. He could almost hear them laughing. They walked down a long hallway made of the same blue crystal. Other aliens passed them, all different shapes and sizes. Some looked like insects, others like plants, others like things Jake had no names for. They all stared at the humans with the same look, pity mixed with contempt. Jake had been on alien ships before, but this station was something else. It was called Nexus Prime, and it was bigger than most human cities. It floated in space around a star that belonged to no one, neutral ground, where the big alien empires could meet and talk. When they reached their quarters, Jake made sure the door was sealed. The rooms the aliens had given them were nice enough, but he knew they were being watched and listened to. "Well," Dr. Martinez said, "that went about like we expected." Admiral Collins walked to the window and looked out at space. Jake could see the lights of alien ships in the distance, hundreds of them, just around this one station. He knew there were thousands more spread out across the galaxy, all pointed at human space. "They really think we're going to roll over," Collins said. "Can you blame them?" Martinez asked. "We've got maybe 200 ships total. They've got 10,000. On paper, it's not even a contest." Jake smiled for the first time in hours. It was not a nice smile. Good thing we don't fight on paper. Collins turned away from the window. So we're really doing this? They made the choice for us, Jake said. 3 months of talking, and it all comes down to the same thing. Submit or die, the colonies. Martinez started. Are ready, Jake finished. Amy Thompson has been preparing for this since the day we got here. Everything's in place. Collins nodded. I'll send the signal. Jake walked to his own window and looked out at the alien ships. They were beautiful in their own way, sleek and shining like jewels against the black of space. The aliens were proud of those ships, proud of their technology, proud of their ancient civilizations. Pride, Jake thought, could be a weakness. Send it, he said. Collins pulled out a small device that looked like a regular communication pad. But Jake knew it was much more than that. The Admiral pressed a few buttons, and somewhere far away, on Earth and on human ships, scattered across space, people would be getting a very simple message. The talking was over. What happens now? Martinez asked. Jake turned away from the window. And we show them what humans do when you back us into a corner, and what's that? We bite, Jake said. Hard, outside, the alien ships continued their slow patrol, unaware that everything had just changed. In a few hours, they would learn what the word war really meant. They would learn why humans had fought each other for thousands of years, why they had turned their own planet into a classroom for violence and survival. Most importantly, they would learn that when humans stopped talking, the real fight was just beginning. Jake Morrison had spent 3 months being polite, being diplomatic, being reasonable. He had smiled and nodded and listened to alien demands with the patience of a saint. That time was over now. Now it was time to be human. Captain Ryan Scott stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the alien patrol boats move through space. They were big, slow, and predictable. They had been following the same pattern for weeks now, like robots programmed to do the same thing. Over and over again, the UHS Wolverine was hidden behind a large asteroid, its engines cold and its weapons powered down. To any alien scanner, it would look like just another piece of space rock. Ryan had been waiting here for 6 hours, and he would wait 6 more if he had to. Captain, whispered Lieutenant Kate Williams from the weapons station. I've got 3. More bogies coming in from the north? Same course as the others? Ryan nodded but did not speak. They had been silent for 2 days now, ever since Admiral Collins sent the code word from the diplomatic station. No radio chatter, no active scans. Nothing that would tell the aliens where the human ships really were. The bridge was dark, except for the soft glow of computer screens. Chief Danny Clark sat at the engineering station, his hands dancing over the controls as he kept the ship's systems running on minimum power. The man could make engines sing, but more importantly, he could make them whisper. How many does that make? Ryan asked quietly. 47 ships in the last hour, Kate replied, all following the same patrol route. Ryan almost felt sorry for them. The aliens had been watching human space for months, thinking they knew where all the human ships were. They had counted 200 vessels and decided that was all humanity had to offer. They were wrong. The real number was closer to 500 ships, but most of them were hidden or disguised. Some looked like cargo haulers. Others were tucked away in asteroid fields or hiding behind moons. A few were actually built inside large asteroids, invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. While the diplomats had been talking on Nexus Prime, the real work had been happening in secret. General Amy Thompson had been moving pieces around, the board like a chess master, getting ready for this exact moment. Sir Danny said from his station, I'm getting the coded signal from Earth. Phase 2 is a go. Ryan felt his heart speed up. After months of hiding and waiting, it was finally time. All stations' silent running protocols are now in effect. Kate, bring weapons online, but keep them powered down until I give the word. Aye, sir, Kate replied. Her fingers moved across her controls, bringing the ship's guns to life. Wolverine. It was not a big ship, but it packed a punch that would surprise anyone who underestimated it. On Earth, General Amy Thompson sat in a bunker deep under the Pentagon. The room was full of screens showing the positions of ships across human space. Each dot represented a vessel, and there were a lot more dots than the aliens knew about.
Status report, she said to the room. All ships are in position, reported
Colonel Frank Hayes. The alien fleets are still following their normal patterns. They have no idea what's coming. President Linda Barnes stood behind the general, watching the screens with tired eyes. She had not slept much in the past week. The weight of what they were about to do pressed down on her shoulders like a mountain. Are we sure about this? The president asked. Once we start shooting, there's no going back. They made that choice for us, Thompson replied. 3 months ago, they could have treated us as equals. Instead, they decided we were too primitive. To deserve respect, the general turned to face the president. Ma'am, they have 10,000 ships pointed at our colonies. They've already said they'll attack if we don't surrender. We can either fight on our terms or wait for them to attack on theirs. President Barnes nodded slowly. She had been hoping for a peaceful solution, but hope was a luxury they could no longer afford. Give the order. Back on the diplomatic station, Dr. Lisa Martinez was busy with her own mission. The aliens thought she was just a scientist turned diplomat, but she was much more than that. She had been trained by military intelligence and had spent 3 months learning everything she could about alien technology and tactics. She walked through the station's corridors like she belonged there. The aliens paid little attention to her. After all, she was just a weak human who would soon be under their control. They had no idea she was mapping their computer systems and finding ways to turn their own technology against them. The station's main computer was in the central hub, a room full of floating screens and holographic displays. Lisa had been there many times during the negotiations, always carrying her tablet and taking notes. The aliens thought she was recording their words. She was actually recording their security codes.
Dr. Martinez,
said a voice behind her. She turned to see one of the insect-like aliens approaching. The negotiations will resume in 1 hour. Are your people ready to accept our terms? Lisa smiled pleasantly. We're still discussing it. You know how humans are. We like to talk things through. The alien made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Yes, your people do enjoy talking. It is a shame you are not better at listening. Oh, we listen, Lisa said. We listen very carefully. The alien walked away, leaving Lisa alone with the computers. She pulled out her tablet and began typing. To anyone watching, she was just reviewing her notes. In reality, she was uploading a virus into the station's systems. It would not activate for several hours, but when it did, the aliens would find their communications cut off at a very bad time. Across the galaxy, human ships were moving into position. They did not move in formation like the alien fleets. Instead, they spread out like hunters, each ship taking its own path toward its target. Captain Beth Parker commanded a group of small FH ships that specialized in hit-and-run attacks. Her flagship, the UHS Rattler, was barely 100 meters long, but it was packed with weapons and could accelerate faster than most alien vessels could even detect. All ships, this is Parker, she said into her radio. Remember, we hit fast and we hit hard? Don't try to fight fair, because this isn't a fair fight. Use every trick you know and a few you don't. Her ships were already moving, sliding through space like sharks through dark water. Their targets were the alien supply convoys that kept the big fleets fed and fueled. Cut off those supplies, and even the mightiest warship becomes helpless. Lieutenant Commander Nick Torres, captain of the US Viper, checked his weapons one more time. His ship was even smaller than Parker's, but it carried a special weapon that the aliens had never seen before. Human engineers had taken their knowledge of submarine warfare and applied it to space combat. The result was a torpedo that could track its target across thousands of kilometers and punch through armor like it was paper. Torres to Parker, he said, I've got eyes on Convoy Group 7. 12 cargo ships with 4 escorts. Copy that, Torres. Let's take them out. With pleasure, ma'am. The aliens had no idea what was coming. They had spent 1,000 years fighting wars with rules where ships lined up and shot at each other until one side gave up. They had never faced an enemy that refused to play by those rules. Humans had learned war from each other. Human wars had no rules except survival. Every trick, every tactic, every weapon that could give an advantage was fair game. The aliens were about to learn what total war really meant. Back on the Wolverine, Ryan Scott watched the alien patrol ships continue their slow, predictable dance. In a few minutes, those ships would be nothing but wreckage and memory. The thought did not make him happy, but it did not make him sad either. This was what had to happen. All ships, this is Collins, came the Admiral's voice over the coded channel.
Aye.
The diplomats have delivered our answer. The gloves are off. Show them what happens when humans stop talking. Ryan smiled grimly. Kate, you may fire when ready. The first shot came from the UHS Wolverine. Kate Williams pressed the firing button and watched as a piece of metal no bigger than her fist flew through space at 15. The aliens never saw it coming. The depleted uranium slug hit the lead Vorthok cruiser right in the middle. The ship was 2 kilometers long and protected by energy shields that could stop laser beams and plasma bolts. But kinetic energy was different. The slug went through the front of the ship like it was made of paper, tore through the inside, and came out the back. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The slug kept going and hit a second alien ship behind it. That one exploded. 2. Holy hell, Danny Clark whispered from his engineering station. 2 for 1. Captain Ryan Scott watched the destruction with cold eyes. Target the next group. Kate switched to spread fire. All across human space, the attack began at the same moment. 500 human ships opened fire on alien targets that had no idea they were in danger. The aliens had been expecting a formal declaration of war, maybe some polite back and forth about surrender terms. Instead, they got violence so sudden and brutal that many of them never had time to understand what was happening. Lieutenant Commander Nick Torres fired his special torpedo at the alien supply convoy. The weapon looked like a normal missile, but it was much smarter. It adjusted its course 3 times during flight, dodging the aliens' defensive fire like it was alive. When it hit the lead cargo ship, the explosion was small and neat. The aliens thought they had gotten lucky, that the human weapon had malfunctioned. Then they realized the torpedo had not been trying to destroy the ship. It had been trying to get inside it. The cargo hold was full of fuel cells for alien warships. When the torpedo's secondary charge went off, it turned the entire convoy into a chain of explosions that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Scratch. 1 supply convoy, Torres reported to Captain Beth Parker. Good work, Parker replied. Now find me another one. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were not ready for this kind of war. Their ships were designed for formal battles where both sides lined up and shot at each other until someone gave up. Human ships did not line up. They came from every direction at once, fired everything they had, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. On the diplomatic station, High Chancellor Crixtel was getting reports that made no sense. His communications officer, a creature that looked like a walking stick, kept bringing him updates that got worse and worse. Sir, we have lost contact with Battle Group 7, the officer said. All of them, Crixtel demanded. Yes, sir. 15 ships, gone in less than 10 minutes. Before Crixtel could respond, another officer ran up. Sir, the supply depot at Rigel Prime is under attack. They are reporting massive explosions. Crixtel felt something cold in his stomach. This was not supposed to happen. The humans only had 200 ships. How could they be attacking multiple targets at once? Get me a tactical display, he ordered. I want to see everything. The holographic map that appeared in front of him showed the galaxy with red dots marking areas of fighting. There were too many red dots. Far too many. This is impossible, Crixtel said. Where are all these human ships coming from? No one had an answer for him. Dr. Lisa Martinez was in her quarters when the fighting started, but she was not resting. She was activating the virus she had planted in the station's computer systems. The program began to spread through the alien networks like wildfire, causing communication failures and navigation errors throughout their fleet. Alien commanders found themselves unable to talk to their ships. The navigation computers began giving Wrong directions. Weapons systems randomly shut down for maintenance cycles that were not scheduled. It was not enough to cripple the alien forces, but it was enough to make them confused and slow to respond. Lisa smiled as she watched error messages pop up on her tablet. The aliens had never imagined that their guest would be sabotaging them. From the inside, they were about to learn that humans could be very sneaky when they needed to be. Admiral Pete Collins stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UHS Defiance, and watched the battle reports come in. His ship was one of the biggest in the human fleet, a battleship built for heavy fighting. Around him, his crew worked with the smooth efficiency of people who had been preparing for this moment for months. "Sir, we have confirmation reported. His communications officer, Operation Hammerfall is go. All task forces are in position." Collins nodded. Hammerfall was the most dangerous part of the plan. Instead of just defending human space, they were going to attack the alien forward base. At Wolf 359, it was a bold move that would either end the war quickly or get them all killed. "Signal the fleet," Collins said. "Take us in." The human task force jumped to hyperspace. When they came out near Wolf 359, they found themselves facing a massive alien space station surrounded by over 100 warships. The aliens had been using this base to coordinate their attack on human space. Now it was going to become a target. Captain Maria Santos commanded the heavy cruiser UHS Liberty. Her ship was smaller than Collins' battleship, but faster and more heavily armed. She had been waiting for this fight for 3 months. "All weapons, target the station's main reactor," she ordered. "I want that thing dead before it can call for help." Captain Chris Johnson, commanding the UHS Constitution, moved his ship to attack the alien escorts. His crew had trained for this kind of fight, practicing against multiple targets while outnumbered. The aliens were about to learn what human tactics looked like when the humans stopped holding back. The space around Wolf 359 erupted into battle. Human ships moved like dancers, weaving between alien vessels and firing with precision that surprised even themselves. The aliens tried to form defensive formations, but the humans refused to fight that way. Instead of lining up for formal combat, human ships attacked from every angle. They used the space station's own bulk as cover, hiding behind it and popping out to fire before disappearing again. They coordinated their attacks through tight beam communications that the aliens could not intercept. Most importantly, they fought like they meant it. Every shot was aimed to kill. Every maneuver was designed to give them an advantage. There's no honor in this kind of fighting, no glory or noble sacrifice. There was only the simple goal of making sure the other guy died instead of you, Captain. Santos's Liberty cornered an alien dreadnought that was trying to escape. The alien ship was twice her size and had bigger guns, but Santos had something the alien captain did not have. She had grown up watching human war movies. Ramming speed, she ordered. "Ma'am," her helmsman asked, "you heard me? Put us on a collision? Of course, make them think we're going to ram them." The Liberty accelerated directly at the alien ship. At the last second, Santos ordered a hard turn that brought her ship alongside the dreadnought's hull. At point-blank range, her guns could not miss. The alien ship died in a burst of fire and atmosphere back on Earth. General Thompson watched the battle reports with satisfaction. The plan was working better than she had hoped. Human losses were minimal, while alien casualties were mounting rapidly. "Ma'am," reported Colonel Hayes, "we have confirmation from all sectors. The aliens are pulling back. They're trying to regroup." Thompson nodded. "Let them regroup. It won't matter. They still don't understand what they're fighting." President Barnes joined her at the tactical display. "What do you mean?" "I think this is about territory or resources," Thompson explained. "I think if they can just bring enough firepower to bear, we'll surrender. They don't understand that for us, this is about survival. When humans fight for survival, we don't stop until the threat is gone." The president looked at the display showing human victories across a dozen star systems. "How long do you think this will last?" "Oh," Thompson considered the question. "That depends on how long it takes them to learn. Some species are quick learners. Others need more convincing." On the diplomatic station, High Chancellor Crickstell was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The reports from his commanders painted a picture of disaster. In less than 6 hours, he had lost over 800 ships. The humans had lost 23. "Get me a communication channel to Admiral Collins," he ordered. "Sir, our communications are experiencing technical difficulties," his aide replied. Crystal snarled. Nothing was working the way it was supposed to. His perfect plan to crush the upstart humans had turned into a nightmare of confusion and death. But the worst part was, still to come, the humans were not done fighting. They were just getting started. 3 days after the fighting started, the aliens were running scared. What had begun as a simple show of force to make the humans submit had turned into their worst nightmare. Human ships were everywhere, striking like ghosts and disappearing. Before the aliens could fight back, Commander Beth Parker sat in the captain's chair of the UHS Rattler and studied the tactical display. Her hunting pack had been busy for the past 72 hours, destroying alien supply ships and cutting off their fuel lines. The big alien warships needed a lot of fuel to keep running, and without it, they were sitting ducks. "Ma'am," reported Lieutenant Sam Brooks from the sensor station. "I've got another convoy heading through the Tau Ceti system. 6 cargo ships. Light escort." "How light?" Parker asked. 2 destroyers, maybe 3. Parker smiled grimly. "That's not light enough, Nick. You there? Lieutenant Commander Nick?" Torres's voice came through the radio from his ship, the UHS Viper. "Right here, Beth. What do you need?" "I need those destroyers gone. Think you can handle them?" "Can I handle 3 alien destroyers with 1 ship?" Torres paused dramatically. "Probably not. Good thing I brought friends." 2 more human ships dropped out of hyperspace near the convoy. The aliens detected them immediately and began to panic. Their radio chatter, which Dr. Martinez had taught the humans to understand, was full of fear and confusion. "Unknown human vessels. This is Captain Nexmer of the hegemony ship Dawnbreaker," came the alien transmission. "We are carrying medical supplies for civilian colonies. You cannot attack us under the laws of war." Parker laughed out loud. "Laws of war? You mean the same laws you ignored when you threatened to bomb our colonies?" She opened a channel to all human ships in the area. "All vessels, weapons free. Show them what happens when you threaten human civilians." The convoy lasted exactly 8 minutes. When it was over, there was nothing left but debris and radiation. The aliens were learning that humans did not fight by the same rules they did. On the diplomatic station, Dr. Lisa Martinez was having tea with several alien diplomats. They thought she was just being polite, keeping up appearances while the military situation was resolved. They had no idea she was still sabotaging their systems. "Dr. Martinez," said the floating jellyfish alien whose name she could never pronounce, "surely your people will see reason soon. This violence serves no purpose." Lisa sipped her tea calmly. "I think you misunderstand the situation. We're not being violent. We're defending ourselves." "Defending yourselves?" The aliens' lights flickered in what might have been confusion. "You are attacking our ships across the galaxy." "Yes," Lisa agreed. "That's how humans defend themselves. We don't wait for the enemy to come to us. We go to them first." Another alien, one of the insect-like creatures, clicked its mandibles nervously. "But the casualties. So many of our people have died." "Then you should have thought of that before you threatened our colonies," Lisa replied. "Humans have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. We've been preparing for a long time." The aliens exchanged worried looks. They were beginning to understand that they had badly underestimated their opponents. Admiral Collins stood on the bridge of the UHS Defiance and watched the tactical display. His ship was leading a battle group deep into alien territory, attacking their forward bases and supply depots. The aliens were trying to regroup, but every time they gathered their forces, the humans would strike somewhere else. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're getting distress calls from the Vorthok home fleet. They're requesting permission to withdraw to defensive positions." "Denied," Collins said simply. "If they want to stop fighting, they can surrender. Otherwise, we keep hitting them until they can't hit back." Captain Maria Santos, commanding the Liberty, was part of Collins's task force. Her ship had been in continuous combat for 3 days, and her crew was tired but determined. They had learned to fight like wolves, working together to bring down prey much larger than themselves. Em called her weapons officer. Enemy dreadnought coming about. She's trying to run. Don't let her, Santos ordered. All weapons, target her engines. I want her dead in space. The Liberty's guns spoke, and the alien ship shuddered under the impact. Its engines went dark, leaving it drifting helplessly. Santos could have destroyed it easily, but she had a better idea. Send a message to all alien ships in the area, she said. Tell them we have their dreadnought. They want it back, they can come and try to take it. It was a trap, and the aliens knew it. But they also knew that the dreadnought carried 3,000 crew members. They could not abandon their people. When the alien rescue force arrived, they found the Liberty waiting for them with 2 other human ships. The aliens outnumbered the humans 6-1. The numbers meant nothing when you were fighting an enemy that refused to play by the rules. The human ships spread out and began their attack. They did not try to match the aliens shot for shot. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and moving before the aliens could respond. They turned the rescue attempt into a running battle that stretched across 2 star systems. By the time it was over, the aliens had lost their entire rescue force. The dreadnought was still there, its crew rescued by human ships and treated as prisoners of war. It was a lesson the aliens would not forget. When you fought humans, even winning could be a trap. Back on Earth, General Thompson was getting reports from across the galaxy. The aliens were in full retreat, but they were not beaten yet. Their leaders were trying to regroup their forces for one last push against human space. They're gathering everything they have left, Colonel Hayes reported. Maybe 4,000? Ships, all concentrated in the Centauri system. 4,000, Thompson mused. That's still a lot of firepower. President Barnes joined them at the tactical display. Can we handle that many? Ma'am, the question is not whether we can handle them, Thompson replied. The question is whether we need to. They're making the same mistake they made at the beginning. They're thinking like this is a normal war. What do you mean? Thompson pointed to the display. They're gathering their forces to attack our strongest positions. But we don't need to defend those positions. We can just leave. The president looked. Confused? Leave, ma'am. Our colonies are mobile. Our ships can go anywhere. If they want to attack empty space, let them. Meanwhile, we hit their home worlds. It was a strategy that would have been impossible for the aliens to understand. They thought in terms of territory and fixed positions. Humans thought in terms of mobility and surprise. While the aliens gathered their forces to attack human colonies, the humans would be attacking alien cities. Captain Ryan Scott, still commanding the UHS Wolverine, was part of the force that would carry out this plan. His ship, and a dozen others, were heading for the Vorthok home system, where billions of aliens lived in safety, protected by their powerful military. Sir, reported Kate Williams. Long-range sensors show heavy defensive positions around the target system. Orbital weapons platforms, minefields, the works. How many defenders? Scott asked. Maybe 50 ships? All of them old and slow. Scott nodded. The aliens had made another mistake. Had sent their best ships to attack human space, leaving their homeworlds protected by obsolete vessels crewed by old veterans who had not seen combat in decades. Danny, how are the engines holding up? Chief Clark grinned from his station. Like a dream, sir. I've got her running 20% overrated power, and she's purring like a kitten. Good, we're going to need every bit of speed we can get. Human ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vorthok system and immediately began their attack. The alien defenders were caught completely off guard. They'd been expecting a formal challenge, maybe some demands for surrender. Instead, they got a coordinated assault that tore through their defenses like tissue paper. The humans did not target the planets. They were not monsters, despite what the aliens might think. Instead, they went after the military installations, the shipyards, and the communication centers. They wanted to send a message, not commit genocide. The message was simple. Nowhere was safe. If the aliens wanted to threaten human civilians, then alien civilians would live in fear too. It was not a nice message. The war was not a nice business, as the UHS Wolverine streaked through the Vorthok system, destroying everything military could find. Captain Scott felt no satisfaction. He was a soldier doing his job, nothing more. But he was also human, and humans did not give up when threatened. The aliens were about to learn that lesson the hard way. 6 weeks after the fighting began, High Chancellor Crickstell sat in his command chair and stared at the tactical display with dead eyes. What had started as 10,000 ships was now fewer than 3,000. His mighty fleet was broken, scattered. Running for home like frightened children, the humans had done the impossible. They had taken on 3 galactic empires at once, and no, not just one. They had crushed their enemies so completely that the very idea of fighting humans was becoming a nightmare that kept alien commanders awake at night. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving a transmission from the human Admiral Collins. He wants to talk." Crickstell almost laughed. After 6 weeks of slaughter, now the humans wanted to talk. Put him through all channels. Screen flickered, and Admiral Collins appeared. The human looked older than he had 6 weeks ago, his face marked by the stress of command. Behind him, Crickstell could see the bridge of the human battleship Defiance, its crew working quietly at their stations. High Chancellor Collins said, his voice calm and respectful. "I understand you wanted to discuss terms." Crickstell felt his pride crack a little more. "Admiral Collins. Yes, we believe it is time to end this conflict. Perhaps we can return to negotiations." Collins was quiet for a moment. Around the galaxy, millions of beings were listening to this conversation. It was being broadcast. On every communication channel, a public discussion that would decide the fate of civilizations. "You want to negotiate now?" Collins asked quietly. "After you threatened to destroy our colonies? After you told us to kneel or die?" Crickstell's throat felt dry. We did not understand your people's capabilities. Perhaps we were too hasty in our demands." "Too hasty," Collins repeated. He looked around his bridge, where human officers continued their work. "Chancellor, let me ask you something. Do you know why humans are so good at war?" The question caught Crickstell off guard. What do you mean?" Collins leaned forward in his chair. "Your species has been at peace for centuries. You fight ritual battles with rules and limits. When you go to war, it's about territory or resources or pride. But humans, we've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know what real war looks like." Captain Maria Santos, standing beside the Admiral, spoke up. "When humans fight, we fight to survive. Not for land or money or glory, for the right to keep existing." Crickstell looked at the human woman. Her ship, the Liberty, had destroyed a dozen alien vessels in single combat. She was young, but her eyes held the coldness of someone who had seen too much death. "We understand now," Crickstell said. "Your species is formidable, but surely there is room for both our peoples in the galaxy." Admiral Collins nodded slowly. "There is, but not on your terms." Dr. Lisa Martinez appeared on screen next to Collins. She was no longer pretending to be just a diplomat. "Chancellor, you made one critical mistake. You thought that when humans stopped talking, it meant we were defeated. You thought silence meant surrender." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Across every world that was listening. But for humans, when the talking stops, that's when the real fight begins." Back on the diplomatic station, Jake Morrison sat in the same conference room where this had all started. But now he was not alone. Human Marines stood guard at the doors, and human ships controlled the space around the station. The tables had turned completely. "So here's what's going to happen," Jake said to the assembled alien diplomats. "No more ultimatums. No more demands. No more threats against human colonies." The floating jellyfish alien flickered nervously. "What are your terms?" "Simple," Jake replied. "You leave us alone, and we'll leave you alone. Trade if you want, talk if you want, but never again threaten us with extinction. And if we refuse?" asked one of the insect aliens. Jake's expression did not change. "Then we'll finish what you started. Every ship, every station, every military installation you have. We'll keep fighting until you can't fight back." The aliens looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They had learned what humans were capable of when their survival was threatened. None of them wanted to find out what humans could do if they really tried. On Earth, President Barnes stood in the Rose Garden and addressed the world. Behind her, General Thompson and the Joint Chiefs watched proudly as their commander-in-chief spoke to history. "My fellow humans," the president began. 6 weeks ago, we were given a choice: submit to alien rule or face destruction. And we chose a third option. We chose to fight for our freedom. The camera panned across the faces of the military leaders, then back to the president. Today, that fight is over. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not kneel. We will not surrender our independence. We will not accept the rule of those who see us as inferior. She paused, looking directly into the camera. But we have also shown that we are not conquerors. We fought only to defend ourselves. Now that the threat is ended, we extend our hand in friendship to any who will take it in good faith. Captain Ryan Scott stood on the bridge of the UHS Wolverine as it patrolled the edge of human space. The ship showed the scars of battle, but it was still flying, still fighting if needed. His crew had been through hell and come out the other side. "Sir," reported Kate Williams, "long-range sensors are picking up alien ships. They're running away from us." Scott nodded. Word had spread through the galaxy fast. Human ships were to be avoided at all costs. The species that had seemed so weak just weeks ago was now feared by every military in known space. "Let them run," Scott said, "but keep watching. If they come back with friends, we'll be ready." Chief Danny Clark looked up from his engineering station. "Sir, you think this is really over?" "For now," Scott replied. "But humans have enemies now. Real enemies who won't forget what happened here. No, someday. They'll try again. And when they do," Scott smiled grimly, "when they do, we'll remind them why they should have stayed away." In the depths of space, the alien fleets continued their retreat. They carried with them stories that would become legends, warnings that would be passed down through generations. The young species from the small blue world had taught the galaxy a lesson that would not soon be forgotten. War was not a game. It was not about honor or glory or showing strength. War was about survival, and when humans fought for survival, they did not stop until the threat was gone. Admiral Collins sat in his quarters aboard the Defiance and wrote his final report. The ship was heading home to Earth, its mission complete. Around the galaxy, human vessels were returning to their normal duties. But they would never again be seen as weak or primitive. He thought about the conversation with High Chancellor Crystal. The alien had asked how humans could fight with such intensity, such focus. The answer was simple, but aliens who had never faced extinction could not understand it. Humans fought like their lives depended on it because their lives did depend on it. They had learned, through thousands of years of war and struggle, that freedom was not free. It had to be earned, and sometimes it had to be defended with blood. The galaxy was a dangerous place, full of species that saw humans as upstarts, who needed to be put in their place. But those species had learned something important in the past 6 weeks. They had learned that when humans stopped talking, when diplomacy failed and threats were made, that was when the real fight began, and humans, for all their faults, were very good at fighting. The war was over, but the message was clear. Humanity had taken its place in the galaxy, not through permission or negotiation, but through strength. It earned respect the hard way, and they would keep it the same way. When the humans stopped talking, the real fight began, and the galaxy would never be the same.